Wow! Talk link? No way! I forgot about that.
Sorry?
Remember when we were gonna bring it back? Oh, sorry, talk link. We're doing a talk link.
Yes.
But we're remaining physically distant, as you can see, just in case you're...
And socially. I'm gonna look at the camera. I'm not actually acknowledging you.
91 inches? That's 231 centimeters.
Oh yeah, wow.
That's 2.3 meters. So we're properly distant, but why are we here, James? You tell me.
Because I saw a game demo yesterday that blew my little mind.
And you wanted to talk about it.
No, I didn't think I was gonna be allowed.
Are you a game developer?
No.
One day though?
I think so.
So the reason we're here is because yesterday, Epic Games released a demo of Unreal Engine 5, which is the 5th version of Unreal Engine.
The name says it all, hey?
Yeah, and it was pretty mind-blowing. But I have to say, everyone was talking about it being super, super mind-blowing, and I watched it and I was kind of like, meh, okay. It looks pretty good. The rocks look good.
That's what David said.
Yeah?
He said, it's not that much better than Uncharted 4.
I think I was expecting a little more like, I don't know, transforming robots and...
They should have had The Rock in it.
Yes, The Rock walking around.
He makes everything better.
Looking at rocks. So there's another reason why it was kind of disappointing, because Jeff Keighley, the kind of like godfather of the gaming industry, I guess at this point, he's doing this whole thing called the Summer Game Fest, where they're doing all these game reveals, and they were like, all right, the first game reveal of the Summer Game Fest is gonna happen on Wednesday. Tune in, and then people tune in. It's not even a game. It's not even a real game. It's Unreal Engine, but that does that count as a game reveal?
No, that was just a totally encapsulated demo.
Yeah. Although it was running in real time,
It's
apparently.
real time and like you can interact with it, but it's,
yeah.
There's no story. There's probably nothing beyond what we saw.
There is a story. The thing is called Lumen in the Land of Nanite. And I think maybe the girl was called Lumen, and those were all her nanite friends. Yeah, so it was apparently running in real time, although we have no way of actually proving that. But the thing that was actually impressive about this demo was the technology called nanite.
And Lumen.
And Lumen, but nanite's really the star of the show. And nanite is a technology that basically will allow developers to import full detail models from apps like ZBrush or whatever, if they went in and like created a statue with like a lot of triangles, or import an asset from like a film library, and they just like stick it right in the game and don't have to do anything.
You don't need to make LODs.
Right.
Level of detail things. Usually in a game, you have stuff really close to the screen, really close to the observer, be high detail, but you don't want to render stuff that you can't see, because that's a waste of energy and compute. So when something gets farther from the screen and it's small, you have more coarse and rough character models. So lower polygon count Rileys.
Yes.
You know, you're pretty high def right now, but if you were 40 feet away, you might as well just like lower the number of triangles down to like 6. You know? A head, a chest.
Yeah, I get crushed into like just like a Play-Doh ball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
and that's a
but
process.
it's time consuming to make all those LODs.
Right.
Now they don't have to.
They have to do it manually. They have to go through and kind of like take a bunch of polygons and like crunch it down into like one polygon or something. For like a statue made of, the one they showed in the demo was made of 33 million triangles.
Well, the one that they have in the demo is a cinema quality.
Yes.
Like, so that one they wouldn't even have imported. The highest definition LOD probably wouldn't even have that many triangles.
Right.
But in the demo, they just import the cinema quality ones right into the game.
Boom.
And then Nanite will dynamically re-render and reduce the number of triangles depending on how much space the object takes in the screen.
Right. And it was pretty impressive. I mean, like looking at that statue, if you were looking at it on a high resolution screen, it was like, okay, I can see why they're saying this is photorealistic, because it did. I mean, that could have been, you could have told me, if you just took a still frame of the statue and you were like, this is a photo, I'd be like,
well, the other part of it is
I have
that
no reason to think you're lying.
you're actually just looking at a high triangle count model. You're not looking at, because normally they'll make a character model that'll be lower poly count, and then they'll wrap it with a texture map, like a normal map,
right,
that makes it look higher texture.
They like take these details that are actual geometrical details and kind of like flatten it out into a texture, so it looks like a bunch of details, but really it's just a flat polygon.
Yeah, it's just like a flat like quilt that wraps around an object, and then it knows based on the observer's position what it should reflect back to them or how it should appear, and then it can give the illusion of depth to things. But now they're not even you're not even gonna have to make normal maps or light maps.
Right.
You can just look at the object.
So neither of us are game developers, but what this is actually supposed to do, or what it promises to do, is to A, make everything a lot more detailed because you got so many triangles. Did you see the part in the video where they're like, okay, we're actually looking at how many triangles are in the scene, and they're all differently colored, and it basically just looks like TV static.
Yeah.
It just looks like complete noise, but it's not noise. So many of those like little tiny bits are actual just triangles.
And that's already like the optimized fraction of the whole number of triangles. So they said there was like billions of triangles in the scene, but then Nanite can just optimize it and take the 20 million or so that mattered. So that's about, for an HD image, like a 1080p image, it's like 1 triangle per pixel.
Yeah, he was like, a lot of the pixels are just gonna be a triangle. So it puts a lot of more detail into the scene, and it also just makes it a lot quicker for developers to make cool looking stuff because they don't have to, as we said, manually go through and bake these things. Hey, I could talk about this for ages, trust me, but we gotta do a sponsor, all right? Because this is TalkLinked, and we have sponsors on TalkLinked, apparently. This TalkLink's brought to you by Private Internet Access. It's a VPN that lets you mask your IP and encrypt your traffic. PIA offers over 3,300 servers in 30 countries and no bandwidth caps. It has configurable encryption levels and a kill switch to keep you in control. When combined with private browsing, it can make websites think you're in a different country.
See you later.
You can connect up to 5 devices at once, whether they be Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, or Linux, and PIA's Mace feature blocks malware and tracking domains, both of them. So try it at the link below with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, to talk more about what we were talking about.
It seems like it kind of assesses how powerful your machine is and then allocates a triangle count based on that, because they said that it's also going to be available for mobile. Like, it's a scalable platform that can, you know, you want to develop in one engine, it gets used multiple places. Obviously, if you're playing on an Android device, you're not going to have that many triangles. Right. So instead, I guess, they'll just lower the triangle count and it'll still be dynamic and everything.
Yeah. This one was still pretty high because apparently it was running on the PS5, which we will get to. The thing that kind of like maybe rubbed me a bit the wrong way about this demo was where were the plants?
They're in a cave.
Yeah, so that was a little cheap though. Because like, hey, it's pretty easy to make rocks look nice. You know, they're just kind of like, they're basically polygons already. It's like, oh, this rock is made of 1,000,000 polygons. Like, you got a rock that's basically, oh, what, it's like 6 or 7 polygons, you got a rock?
Yeah, but they had a bunch of them though.
Yeah, but still, they're rocks. You know, you want to really impress me, get this, can't reach it, but that little thing there, look how many polygons are in that. Maybe none because it's 2D.
What?
But regardless, it's more detailed.
I know it's a fake plant, but it's 3D.
That's a fake plant?
What are you talking about?
We don't even have real plants on this show? No, I saw some people complaining about that. Well, not complaining, but like they were commenting on the YouTube video and on Reddit, and they were kind of like, all right, this is really impressive. It looks real nice, but you know, I want to see how maybe it doesn't deal with like foliage very well. If you can import like a super high quality asset, like a film quality asset of like a plant, and you know, animate it to like move in the wind, how does it deal with that? Like maybe it only really deals with these like static mega scan images, because that was one of the things, all the rocks and some of the, the rocks were imported from Quixel Megascans, which is like photogrammetry, where they like 3D scan real images.
Epic owns them.
Oh, they own Quixel.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe
Quixel just doesn't have any plants in their library.
Yeah, they're just like,
we do rocks.
Sorry guys, we don't do plants.
We do rocks, we do space.
You want to make a game with rocks? We got you covered. Plants? Whoa, 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 slow down here, buddy. Also, the thing that was slightly, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way maybe, is that the woman character didn't look photorealistic at all. She looked very cartoony.
Well, it's not the focus of the demo though. The focus of the demo is how dynamic all the environments can be made.
Yeah, well, if you want to make headlines where it's like mind-blowing demo,
Her hand was good, man. Like the landing on the rocks and stuff as she walked around. Like
that was good.
It was good.
That was cool. I just feel like there are like photorealistic people in like the Final Fantasy games. Just get the models from those.
No one has hair like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Although I've never been to Korea. They're advanced.
I've never been to whatever the planet is in Final Fantasy VII. David?
It's Korea.
Gaia.
Can we talk about Lumen?
Yeah, Lumen. So that was the other big thing. Yeah, so this basically, it's a way for light, and a lot of game engines already do this. Where
the first Xbox, man, Splinter Cell. Shoot out the light, and then the light in the room changes.
Right. But that could have been like a pre-baked thing. Like you shoot the light and that triggers a different pre-baked lighting setup. Whereas if in that game you can, you know, move the light around and move it wherever you want, and the light changes dynamically.
They did have that in Splinter
yeah.
Cell. There could be like a bulb on the end of a string, and it could swing.
It's been a long time since I played Splinter Cell.
Just the difference is the bouncing.
Yeah, multi-bounce lighting.
There we go. David knows what he's talking about.
But even in modern games that are much newer than the original Splinter Cell,
yeah,
they have sometimes pretty crappy implementations
right.
of lighting. So like if you're playing Ghost Recon, there could be some lamps that you shoot out, and then it gets dark. But then there could be in that same space, maybe you walk into like a barn, you shoot the light on the ceiling, and that light like disappears, but then the halo, a cone of light that was emanating from it, like remains. It's pretty hit or miss.
Yeah, and that, I hate that.
So what most games do, like in Rainbow Six Siege, is they just make the lights indestructible. You shoot the traffic light, it doesn't do anything. Maybe it flickers while you're shooting it, but it doesn't actually break. Especially if there's other things that you can destroy, right? Like if you can break down a wall and then there's rubble, all of that rubble should be occluding other things around it. It should have shadows in every which way. And that's what we saw in this demo.
Yeah.
They just take the sun and move it. And then all those little pebbles that you were complaining about, all the rocks, each one of those gets its own dynamic shadow. It's really cool.
Do you know if Lumen will be able to work with RTX? I'm asking you as if you know, but I don't know. And you don't know either. Because this is an engine.
Yeah, I think it's like
RTX is based on hardware right now. It uses the Turing cores in NVIDIA's hardware. And you can run ray tracing on like other hardware, but it sucks. So I don't know how this works together.
In the context of the next-gen consoles,
right?
Those aren't NVIDIA.
They're not NVIDIA, but they are supposed to have ray tracing capability. So I'm assuming that there will be some sort of synergy here.
It won't be RTX.
It won't be RTX, but it'll be AMD's RT. RT Red.
There was an Unreal Engine 4 demo for ray tracing this week.
Oh yeah?
And they showed like the ray tracing, and it's terrible in performance because it's all like one-to-one scaling. They don't have it like optimized yet.
Oh, so ray tracing, you can do that in Unreal Engine obviously because it has existed for a little bit now, but it sucks. So Lumen maybe will assist ray tracing in working better on future next-gen consoles.
And again,
next-gen hardware.
It makes it easier for developers because they don't have to make those texture maps. There's light maps that are the same thing. You wrap a 3D object with a light map to tell it how to behave when light hits it. You don't have to make those light maps anymore.
Right. So we can talk about how we're excited for this all we want, but it's also interesting to see what developers are actually saying. And I looked into this a little bit. As I was saying, I looked through the comments and I looked on Reddit a little bit. And some people think that this is a groundbreaking technology that's going to advance game dev, tech by like 20 years. And other people are like upset because they still don't want to learn C#, I think. C++ is used by a bunch of other stuff, and C# is the one that it helps a lot if you know C# to use Unreal Engine. So there's really it might not be as groundbreaking as they're making it seem. Maybe we're getting caught up in the marketing.
They're just gonna have to do the calculus to decide if all the time savings and not having to make all those maps is worth it to learn a new language.
Even if they do spend the time to do that, regardless, Unreal Engine apparently isn't gonna be out until mid-2021 anyways.
So the first console games to launch with the new consoles,
well, that's what
they're not gonna have it.
Yeah.
The first year and a half or 2 years,
it appears that we're not gonna see games with this for quite some time, which is usually the case with these summer game expo reveals. They'll be like, oh, look at this groundbreaking game, and then we're like, oh, it'll release in 2 or 3 years.
Can't wait to play this when I'm 40.
Yeah, and then when the game comes out, we'll look back at the original demo and be like, hey.
Still not as good.
Exactly.
One thing that's also kind of misleading from the demo is they make this big deal about how you can take these movie quality assets and just plop them in.
Yeah.
And in that one room she walks into, it's we just saw this huge high triangle count statue, and then she walks into a room and they're like, there's 500 of these statues in here. But that's cool. Nanite can render it. That's one thing. Maybe it can, but you still have to store that asset. That takes up space, right? And sure, the PS5 and the Xbox, they have high bandwidth SSDs, but they still have limited capacity.
Yeah.
Like the Series X is going to be 1 terabyte. The PS5, I believe, is like 825 gigabytes or something like that.
Yeah.
Their demo is probably terabytes. It's huge.
That's the other thing I saw people saying as well. It's like, okay, we're complaining about Call of Duty Warzone being like 200 gigs or something. How big is it? Yours is 180 with like, what was it? Advanced or Modern Warfare? It's more. I think Warzone with like the actual Modern Warfare installation is like over 200 gigs. And we're complaining about that, but this is gonna be like, if you're importing these assets, it's gonna be like a terabyte.
So it's not a panacea. There's still gonna be, constraints for the developers to work under.
But hopefully, everyone just buys those proprietary Seagate SSDs for the Xbox, and then you'll be fine. And the other really cool thing about the announcement was that Unreal said developers don't owe Epic a cent until they make $1 million in revenue. So not only are they like giving all these tools to developers, they're also being like, hey, you can use it for free until you make some coin. And
that's kind of cool.
Previously it was $50,000. If once you made $50,000 in revenue, then you had to pay.
Up to $1 million.
But now it's $1 million.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Like, even if David's right and this doesn't look that much better than Uncharted 4,
yeah,
I think that even if the best game doesn't look that much better, the average game is going to look a lot better.
Right. Now, we mentioned earlier that this whole thing was running on the PS5. And we've seen some of the kind of like console war starting to heat up as we approach the fall when the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are going to release. And right around the time that Unreal released this video of this demo, a bunch of people were talking about the PS5 because it was running on the PS5, and they're like, oh, this is the kind of experiences that that the PS5 is going to enable. Tim Sweeney said something about the SSD in particular. Because, have you looked at the specs, the comparative specs? The PS5 actually has a little less, well, on paper, it has a little less teraflops.
There's fewer teraflops from the GPU, but
yeah,
it doesn't have like double the SSD bandwidth.
Right. So
compared to the Xbox Series X.
Yeah. So the PS5 SSD has 5.5 gigabytes per second on their SSD, and the Xbox has 2.4 gigabytes per second. Bush League.
Italy.
Okay, so this is a quote. They did Tim Sweeney's the CEO of Epic, and they did a press conference for this whole demo release, and he says, the storage architecture on the PS5 is far ahead of anything you can buy on anything on PC for any amount of money right now. It's going to help drive future PCs. Like, they're going to see this thing ship and say, oh wow, SSDs are going to need to catch up with this. Which obviously makes PC enthusiasts a little salty.
I mean, I hope it's true.
Well, but this is the thing, is that, that kind of bandwidth, you can get that on NVMe SSDs right now. So everyone's like, what the heck are you talking about?
He might not be strictly talking about bandwidth, though. He just says the architecture is light years ahead. So
yeah,
what other parts of that are
I think it's the bandwidth and the SSD and how it's like designed and integrated with the whole system so that developers can like get this, closed platform and be like, all right, I'm going to only work with this and like make things like really freaking quick, But who knows?
The best information we have so far is that the SSD and the RAM are way closer integrated,
Oh.
so that it can like offload processing that's not, or processing that it doesn't have to do onto the SSD, leave it, keep rendering on the RAM, and then load stuff and exchange stuff really fast.
They're closer together, so they're basically, yeah. If you have the RAM and SSD kiss, then that's where that's the best console.
That's only the beginning of the data transfer there. It goes from SSD to RAM, to VRAM, to L2 cache on the GPU, to L1 cache on the GPU.
Those are my favorite.
That's where the French kisses happen.
PS5 is also going to have, like the 3D audio. Tempest, did you see this whole thing? You can map your ear. Mark Cerny,
I don't understand that. Like with headphones? Like when using headphones?
Who does understand it?
I've used apps before. I've seen headphones before where you use your phone to take a picture of your ear, and then they say it makes the sound better for you or whatever. But if I'm playing console on my couch, sitting at one of many couch positions, because my couch is huge.
Such a big couch.
Or if there's other people in the room, like how does this track to a room with 5.1 or
you basically, you take a picture of your ear and then the computer gets it and it's like, this is who I'm doing this for. And then it just kind of makes it care more about it,
It doesn't make any sense. Maybe for headphones.
That makes perfect sense.
It's only for headphones.
It's only for headphones. But why? Why stop at headphones? Why stop at
For so many practical reasons.
Why stop at simulating individual raindrops in a rain or shower scene? Because apparently that's what it's going to do. I want to know exactly how many atoms are in each raindrop,
Like
so that when
Steve
it
Jobs,
falls,
you know?
when it falls and hits the floor, it's like, and I'm like, that's right. That's what it sounds like.
Like Steve Jobs' next computers. Like, I want the inside that only the technician's gonna see. I want that to be beautiful. And I'll pay.
And I'll pay you for it. If you had to buy a console, because all of this is, you know, all this is really conjecture. Like we've gotten the specs, we've gotten all of this hype and these demos put out, but like we don't really know what the actual, we don't know which one's gonna be better because they're not out yet. We can't get our hands on the meat.
Or the controllers.
Or the controllers. Sometimes if you have just the meat and just the controller, it's okay, but in this case, we need both.
Yeah.
So, do you have loyalty to anything?
I've been
in
an
life?
Xbox man.
You're an Xbox man.
I had a PS1, then I had an Xbox, then I had the Xbox 360 on day one.
Oh, wow.
That was the last console I owned. So I'm kind of an Xbox man, but
Dang, dude.
I don't really like PlayStation controllers. I don't like the symmetrical thumb. It's more ergonomic for me to have my thumbs up.
I've hated the PS4 controller, the PlayStation controller in general since forever. But this one actually looks, I mean, they basically looks like they took the Xbox's controller form factor and just kind of put their two sticks
the
on.
joystick's at the bottom. I don't like it.
Get over it, dude. All right, well, I'm done talking, but TalkLinked will be back to talk more at a later time.
So thanks for watching, guys. If you like TalkLinked, wait for a while.
Talk a bit more. Talk whenever you want to.
We'll do it sometime.
And
New TalkLinks every sometimes.
And stay away from me. Continue to do that.
Oh my God, your poor laptop screen.